Everyone has a stinky place. But did you realize that you're in a stinky place? Often, we don't even realize that we are in a stinky place, that we are centered around stinky people. I want to talk about that stinky place. I was actually listening to the radio today, and it talks about how we are captured in this place of stink, of despair, and nastiness. And I was thinking again, I said, you know what? I've been around some stinky people. And you know what we don't do? We don't move. We need to move away from the stinky people. We need to move away from the stinky people. The stinky people in our lives. We need to move from the stinky people. Oh my gosh. Get away from the stinky people. Even Captain knows about the stinky people. Captain, what? Captain, the stinky people. He even knows about the stinky people. He says, get away from the stinky people that are in our lives. Hello, my name is Dr. Tanda Thompson. I am a two-time breast cancer survivor. I am a retired military veteran, and I am a conflict resolution practitioner. Every day that I go to work, I listen to people and their stories, their situations, and their conflict. And they often wonder why. Captain, do you know why? He's trying to figure it out too. Why do we stay in these situations? Why do we allow ourselves to be in these situations of stinky people? Just think about it. You're in a meeting and the boss is talking, and you got other people there not even paying attention. Or maybe you don't even like your boss. What do you do? What happens when you're talking to someone and they don't even value what you're saying? I think this might even be resonating with Captain. Captain, your breath stinks. Captain, your breath stinks. Move! Don't you see I'm on a live? No, he not kissing me. Dogs don't kiss. No. Mm-mm. Don't even think about it. So how do you remove yourself from being in these places? One, where you shouldn't be. Two, where you don't want to be. And maybe they don't even want you there. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Be sure to click the like button and leave a comment. So let me give you some tips on how me, as a conflict resolution practitioner, deal with issues of conflict and how I guide individuals from being out of that place of stinkiness into that place of peace. Don't you want peace in your life? It is 2024. Let me say that again. This is 2024. And I want peace in my life. But how do I gain the necessary tools to be conflict competent, to get rid of stinking people in my life? And this, when I say get rid of, I mean you being able to channel and change your mindset so that these people do not impact you in such a way to ruin your entire day, to influence how you move forward. So one of the things that I've learned, and this is what I help other individuals do or train, or, there's so many different words, and that is we need to learn to listen. And my grandmama used to say, and my grandmother only had an eighth grade education, but she was probably the smartest woman that I knew. And she said, Tanja, you have two ears and one mouth. You need to learn to use them in proportion. So I really learned to listen. And what I'm listening for, and think about what you're listening for. And that is, what are people, often we want to respond to what people are saying, but yet, better yet, we need to listen to what people are not saying or what people are repeatedly saying. For an example, if someone is saying, I don't want to be in this classroom, so you may just let it go by the first time. But then they say again, I don't want to be in this classroom. That should start sparking something that this might be important to that individual. And the conversation goes on. And they say it again. Oftentimes, we're just listening to the words. But what happens when you're actually listening to the individual? And let me talk about listening. Listening should be a non judgment zone, that we are listening and giving that individual that space to be able to hear so that they feel like they're being heard. So what you do after you've heard this and say, I recognize, or I've heard you say this a couple of times that you don't want to be in this room. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And they can very easily say, oh, what I mean by that is that I'm claustrophobic and these walls have a tendency to make me feel trapped. So you can also further ask, well, what does being trapped mean to you? And come to find out, when I asked that question, that this individual was a battered woman, where when she was in these closed type spaces, she felt trapped. She felt like she couldn't defend herself. She felt like she was being overpowered. So often we need to listen to what people are saying, where we're listening this and not, and this is part two. This is the second piece. Stop listening to respond. We heard the person say something, but we wasn't even listening. We was waiting for we was waiting for our chance to respond, to answer something that was on our mind. And you know what has happened? You have missed what the person actually was talking about. How many times have you had a conversation with someone and they missed the whole thing? And the reason you know they missed the whole thing, because their next comment had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with what you just talked about. I had that happen with a manager where the individual was hearing impaired. The person was a military veteran. And they were talking about how in their previous job, they really valued their manager and their supervisor, and that at their level, they didn't make decisions, and that they truly honored the position of the supervisor. And the person went on and on and on. This is the employee, went on and on and on, talking about how they valued their job. And you know what the supervisor said? I never lost it. I was like, all the coaching that I did for her, it seemed to go right out the window. She immediately went on and said, but I felt disrespected. I felt that I was not valued. My thing was, you're the manager, you're the supervisor. How is it that you felt devalued from someone that is two levels down from you? People, we have to get out of these stinky places. We have to stop giving people control over our lives. We have to stop thinking that, I know this is going to be a new one for you. Not everything is about you. Oh, Lord. Not everything is about you. Just because someone is upset, just because someone is mad, don't think that it is about you. Sometimes it has nothing to do about you. You just happen to be there. Can we learn to give people grace? Can we learn to give forgiveness? You will want someone to do it for you. You will want that person to give you grace. That maybe you were just having a bad day and they just walked in when you just found out that something was wrong with your child. There was something wrong with your parent. Just something happened to a family member and they snapped. They said something. Why do we continually to think that is about us? It's not about you, people. It's a lot of times it's not. And you know what? So what if it is? Learn to take a step back. And this is number 3. This is number 3 and number bonus. Are you waiting for this one? This is number 3 and number bonus. Not everything, and I'm going to go slow. Not everything that someone does or say requires response. What? Oh, I know you wasn't ready for that. I know you wasn't ready for that. It does not require you to say a freaking word. Because as soon as you open up your mouth, you know what happens? They know exactly how you feel. And you know what happens after that? Push button, push button. Now you're triggered. Because now you have given them the power to hold things over you. People, do you know how many times I have been told, Tanja or Dr. Thompson, did you hear what such and such said? Because you know people like gossip. Because you know people messy and they stanky. Stanky, 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 stanky. Stop it. Did you hear what such and such said? No. I said, yes, you know what? Because it didn't rise to the level that I felt that I needed to respond. It didn't rise to the level that it impacted me. No, stop it. Stop it. Stop going around thinking that you have, every time someone says something to you, that you have to respond. Now, I know there's going to be some folks on here. Well, I feel disrespected. Okay. But maybe you just need to come back another day and have that conversation with that individual when you have had an opportunity to articulate your words. Not everything requires a response. And believe me, I've had a lot of training on this where I just keep my mouth shut. Because you know what? You know what? You don't know what I'm thinking. If I respond, you immediately know what I'm thinking. So why would I give you the opportunity to have that power over me? I need to tell you what's on my mind. Really? I don't want to know what's on your mind. You need to know what's on my... Why? Why? Take a step back, people. Meditate. Pray on it before opening up your mouth. And I always get this quote wrong, but my husband gets it right every time. I knew you was stupid or an idiot, but once you opened up your mouth, it was confirmed. Think about that. I knew you were stupid, but once you opened up your mouth, it was confirmed. People, sometimes we just need to learn to hold things to ourselves. Hold it, hold it, hold it right here. Hold it, hold it. You don't need to respond all the time. And as someone who does this for, the last 15 years, conflict is what people do not do. Well, they do conflict very well, as we can see that in Congress. We can see that at the House. You can see it in the Senate. You can see it road rage. You can see it every single day of our lives. But we need to learn how to be conflict competent and remove ourselves from stinky places and being in the room with stinky people. So I've given you a number of tips today. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and share this with others. My goal is to a couple, 2 or 3 times out the week, and maybe for the month of January, that I'll do it every day at 7 o'clock. Join me for another or more tips on how to be conflict competent. Again, this is Dr. Tanja Thompson, conflict resolution practitioner. One thing for sure and another thing for certain, conflict is inevitable. How are you resolving conflict in your life? Have a great rest of your evening.